Hello, everybody, and thanks for jumping in here on another Thursday night. We got another movie club coming up. I'm Corey with Wilkie's Movies and Music, and having a fun time doing this series and still bringing in some new people, meeting out in the community, getting to know them better. And I hope you're having a fun time doing that as well. And tonight we got another one. That I was so glad that he was able to jump out and do this tonight. So I'm not gonna waste any time. I'm gonna bring out. We got Kyle of Kyle's Movie Collection. How we doing tonight?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know time is precious. Believe me, when between work and life and family and want to watch a movie once in a while too, and all this whole thing and doing live streams, I appreciate you taking a break and jumping in here for a little bit with me.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So, I know right off the bat, I was going to say, we'll jump in the chat here real quick. I'll kind of alternate back and forth. I always joke around that that's something that I'm still practicing with. And I don't know if you kind of have that as well when
Oh
you've
yeah.
done a lot of live streams yourself and just between talking or having a guest on and also jumping out and having fun with people that are joining with the chat.
hmm
I'm still working at it. I don't know how you feel about it with yourself too. Like, is that something you got to kind of work at as well?
Yeah, I mean, at least when I do live streams, I always go over like the movies that I've watched that previous week, and so I kind of like it's a hard balance to kind of bounce
Mm.
back and forth where I'll talk about a movie, but then like I see like eight comments popping up, and so I have to like hold off on the rest of them and get into comments and but yeah, it's a hard balance.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things that the reason we do the live streams is it's fun to have that instant interaction with people coming in, but just finding that nice balance between
hmm
those. But so one of the first things, I guess, just jumping in, the reason I have you on here is just watching, getting into your videos, seeing your love of movies, you're collecting, and we'll
hmm
get into sometime your movie room. We see a beautiful shot behind you right now of so many great movies in there. That's definitely, trust me, we'll get to that. I want to talk to you about that for a bit. But what got you started into collecting physical media? Is there anything that really kicked it off, or is it something that was handed down to you? You know, like what got you going with it?
So I would say the I guess to start things off, like when growing up, I had like a learning disability, and so I like really struggled with reading, and
Sure.
so I mean, it would take me just forever to read like one page of text, and so when all my friends and family they were all into like stories where they would just be like reading books and stuff, I always was like I gravitated towards movies because
Yes.
there's no reading involved, at least for English speaking titles, but
Yep.
um, and so that kind of got me like into movies a lot. And then one of the big things that really helped me was I watched the movie Honey I Shrunk the Kids,
Oh yeah.
and that really like sparked a between that and Back to the Future, both like
Oh,
really sparked like this like interest in like making stuff and building things. And my dad worked at a printing company, and so he would bring like he was a maintenance manager, and so he would be bringing home all these like old pieces and parts to all these printing presses. And I was in my basement building shrink rays and time machines and all kinds of fun
I
stuff. And
love it. I love it.
um, and then in second, I mean, even in second grade, my dad got this really like beat up car from a friend that, it's just kind of like one of those like really rusty junk cars. And um, in second grade, we were reading a book, and in the book, the character had like a car as a clubhouse. And so I like begged my dad if I could have this car. And so in second grade, I got my first car, but
Nice.
and so that like I would be like taping wires on because I wanted to like remake like the time machine from Back to the Future, and so I was like taping wires and stuff on it, and so that was like all those things kind of just like really made my like love for different kinds of stories and different kinds of like creativity. And I think I really like it like films because I can like um escape into like different worlds.
Mm,
And
mhm.
um yeah, which also then led into just collecting physical media because growing up, I have a very distinct memory of going to like my family's like where they kept all of like the books and movies and stuff from like the library, and there was nothing to watch, and I was so bummed out because I just wanted to watch something. We didn't have cable growing up, and I really was like craving to watch something, and so that memory is always stuck with me. Where now it's like, well, I'll always have something to watch. Um,
Oh yeah.
but I also just love physical media versus like streaming because I just none of the stuff's ever going away. God forbid if there was a fire or anything, like that's really the only way. But um, it's all like here to stay. It's not going to be taken down anytime soon, and so yeah, that's. I mean, I really started getting into collecting when I was trying to get all of like the James Bond movies.
Oh yeah.
James Bond growing up, and so I tried to collect all of those, and
Yeah, you
yeah,
got the bonds back there on the blue.
oh yeah. But I tried collecting all of those because I wanted to see all of them,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then from there I just started collecting like different movies that I either saw like a trailer for or like something that caught my interest, and so um, yeah, I just it's over time it's like kind of became like more of a big hobby, obviously, and um, especially when I started going down the rabbit hole of like boutique stuff, and then it just started
Yeah.
discovering more and more, and yeah, it's a lot, but
Yeah, it never ends. Like I said,
oh
the
yeah.
rabbit hole. You fall down the rabbit hole with that. We'll jump in that chat here in just a second, but I want to say something you said resonated with me. I know I'm older, and there is a time where probably some things were not as known or would come out, but I resonate with what you said about I think I'm right there too. Like I always had a trouble reading. That was something I always struggled
Hmm.
with. I loved books. I loved stories. I loved getting in those universes. But I think one of those hurdles I had was I was always, and I still am, a very slow reader, and that's
Hmm.
something I always struggled with. And movies was something that gave me that story in a more like digestible format. I could
Hmm.
just bring it in, and so no, I can totally resonate with that completely.
Oh yeah, and like another, I guess, piece that I forgot to mention, which is kind of like probably one of the bigger pieces. Um, like my dream career is to be a movie director, and so
Nice.
like growing up, I would be like I was like working part-time jobs in high school, and I was basically just buying camera equipment, and um, so it's like a mixture between my love for stories, but then also a love for like the process of making films.
Oh, sure.
It's just like all of that, but yeah, that's definitely my I don't know, my thing.
Oh, no, I love that. I'm going to do a quick speed run through, just say hi to some of the folks that are jumping out here tonight and hanging out with us. But we got some good friends in here. We got Movie Hunter in here saying, "Evening, everyone." Thank you for jumping in here. We got Jeff, John Doe Juggalo, in here saying, "Good evening, everyone." I'm so happy to see Kyle on here. There we go. We got Unplugged in here saying, "Hello, hello, sir." Yep, you got a late or early morning. You're over in the UK. I know you got some time difference there. Holland Oates in here saying hi to both of us. Got Jim's movie channel in here saying, "What's up, Corey?" And everyone in the chat. Thanks for jumping in. Movie Hunter saying hi to both of us. I'll say this as I'm going to jump through some of these things. It's one thing that I'll admit I've got hooked on the live stream thing and having people jump in and say hi and have that instant conversation. And I know you do a lot of live streams, so maybe you're feeling a little bit of that yourself, or
Hmm. Oh yeah, I try to do at least one live stream a week, so
yeah,
it's about usually Sundays is my live streams, but
yeah. I was gonna say I see a lot of Sunday ones jumping out there. We got Adrian James in here saying, "Hey there, Corey," and guest. We got some highs back and forth. Jane Doe Latte. I always joke around. She's my honorary mom, we'll say. But saying good evening. Jeff in here saying hi. We got Matt in here saying, "Hey, Corey, Kyle, hope you both are doing." Or I can misread things so well on live
oh yeah.
streams. "Hey, Corey and Kyle, hope you both are well and having a great week. Doing pretty well so far." I'll say that. We're gonna skip through some of that. We got a lot of highs back and forth. I always love seeing that, but we're gonna try to keep up with time here. We got this makes my second Wilkie's live stream I've been to. Greetings, Earthlings. Thank you very much for joining. I'm always I don't know. I don't put myself down, but I always get amazed when somebody's like, "Yeah, I wanted to come back. I wanted to hear you talk about these things again." You know,
Oh yeah.
you ever get surprised with that when you're with your channel? I know you've been doing it a lot longer than I have, and you've done a lot more than I have with that. But when you have somebody come back and be like, "I liked what you said about those things, and I want to hear what you have to say about more things,"
Oh
that's
yeah.
kind of a flattering thing to get.
Yeah. I think on my last live stream, someone said I'm their favorite YouTuber, which
There you
is just
go.
like, that felt
I'll
really
take
nice.
it.
So I was like, thank you. That's so nice. But
Yeah, take it. Say thank you and yeah, take that for sure. Xdean, how we doing? Saying hi all. Got D in here, our Jurassic Chaos, saying hi, Corey and Kyle. Thank you. It's one thing I always like struggle with. I always want to at least say hi to everybody that jumps in, but also be aware of our time. And my first car came with a bumper sticker on it that said, "I love country music." I slapped a Child's Play 2 bumper sticker on it as soon as I got home. I love that. I love that. That's great. That's such a great story. And you'll always remember that.
mhm.
You know, my first car was nothing to be like really excited about, but it did not have any bumper stickers on it.
In high school, I drove my sister's car for a brief period of
Yeah,
time when she was off at college, and she had a I Heart One Direction sticker on the bumper,
there you go.
and would refuse to let me take it off. And so I had to drive to high school with an I Heart One Direction sticker. So
Hey, it made you a stronger person because of
yeah.
it, right? Movie Hunter was saying, chat is pop and smash the like button while you are here. Yeah, if you feel inclined to do so, please do. I'll throw this out while you're saying that. With Kyle, I have in the description of the video, I have some links out there for him. I have a YouTube, I have an Instagram, I think I have the Letterboxd out there. Please check him out. That's one thing I always say. No matter how big or small people are out in YouTube, sometimes it's just getting in front of other people, and you might find your next favorite YouTube channel. So it doesn't cost you anything. Hit a little sub, hit a button on his channel, and check him out and see what you think about it. And you're not out anything, just a little time. Check some channels out. But we got Steve in here, just Moody, saying, "Hey Corey, Mr. Oates," and he's saying, "Hey to everybody, thank you." What is the worst anthology movie you've ever seen? Wow, we got a tough question right off the bat. I don't know.
Man.
I don't know if I've had any that really like. Maybe some are better than others, but I don't know if I've had any that really were like, "Oh, that was horrible."
I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm
We
sure
might have to come back to that one.
yeah.
I don't I don't know.
I'm sure tonight
Like,
when I'm laying in bed, I'll be like, oh yeah, that
yeah,
one.
right.
Like,
Okay, I do that all the time. Like I can't think
Mhm.
of something on a live stream, but 20 minutes later, after I'm
Mhm.
off, pops into my head.
Mhm.
All right, I'm gonna do a speed run here. I always say that, but we got saying hi to Smirk, saying hey Wilk and Kyle, Wilkie and Kyle. Hey, how are we doing? All right, I'm gonna put a pin in that for right now. So we're gonna in more into your movie room, which is awesome. I've watched some of your videos, you showing what you've done with the space that you have. It's really awesome. One thing that jumped out right off the bat, I have to ask about it, and I think we had a couple comments back and forth on one of your videos, but I was like, is that a family videos movie stand? So,
Mhm.
and maybe not everybody will know what family video is, but think of Blockbuster, you know, something along those lines. And it might've been more regional, but I had family video rental
Mhm.
stores around me, and there's the colors, the logos, or the font, whatever they use. It jumped out and I'm like, that's family video. And I saw that in one of yours. So in your movie room or rooms or what, you have a pretty big space that it seems like you have for that. You have some of those from the rental store, and I was kind of
Mhm.
curious, like, how'd you come about to acquire those, and like how'd you get that into your room and incorporate it?
Oh yeah. So Family Video actually, like, they were around at least where I lived, in like the Ohio area. Um, they were around till 2020. I think 2020 was pretty much when they like finally went out. But I distinctly remember when they were going out, they were selling off all of their inventory at like ridiculously cheap prices, and
Yeah.
so um, everybody was like browsing and stuff, and they were picking out one movie here or there, and I was walking up to the counter with like huge stacks of stuff because I'm like, you guys don't understand, like this is really cheap. Um the family, the shelving units, they were just kind of, when they emptied them out, they just kind of put them outside for free, so you could just take whatever you wanted, because if it wasn't going to, like, if they sat there long enough, they just go in the dumpster basically.
Yeah.
And so at the time when I got my first one, I was living in like a 2 bedroom apartment. And so all of these movies somehow fit into like one of the 2 bedrooms, which was ridiculous. It was like, every possible square inch was covered. But I was only able to get one shelf because I'm like, I don't have space for more of these. And I always regretted that, because I knew someday when I did get a house and built a movie room, I would like to have more shelving in,
Sure.
family video shelves. And so I was always looking on Facebook Marketplace if I ever came across any. And I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or so, somebody had 4 family video shelves for free on Facebook. And so I was like an hour drive, but I drove out there as soon as I possibly could. And she's like, yeah, as soon as you message, then I started getting message after message asking about them and stuff. I'm like, sweet. So I just got them in time. And yeah, right now I only have room for 2 of them, but I loaned out the other 3, which were part of the second deal. I loaned those out to a friend of mine. And yeah, so eventually the plan is to, where they kind of are currently in the movie room, is to kind of make that more of a like rental space, like, or not like a fake rental space, I should say.
But it's a fun nostalgia piece. Like
Oh
you
yeah, yeah.
walk in and you see that, and you have the movies lined up on it. I've seen some of your videos where you have the VHS tapes lined up on there, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you get that feel.
Mm-hmm.
I miss having that. That was something that I always loved, being able to go and walk into the video store to rent some things and hang out and talk about movies for a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
it's cool to, you like are recreating that in your space that you have right now.
Oh yeah.
Another thing that I've noticed when I'm like watching a lot of your stuff is the formats, the number of formats that you have in your collection.
Mm-hmm.
So can you speak to that for a little bit? Like, it's not just like 4K Blu-ray DVD. I mean, you have reels, or I'll let you talk, but you
Oh
have
yeah.
a lot. You have a diverse collection. We'll
Mm-hmm.
say that.
I guess, have you ever heard of the YouTuber Cinema Sickness?
Yeah. Yep.
So I kind of got into his like videos like before I really had a huge collection, and I always liked in his videos where he showed off like all the different formats of like between Laserdisc and Beta and VHS and even like film. And so I was always like curious on like all the different formats, and so that was kind of like, I mean, currently I have, I don't even know, I have let's see, Laserdisc, CED, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. Um, let's see, 35 no, well, 35 millimeter film trailers, 16 millimeter, 8 millimeter. Uh, I have HD DVD. Let's see, DVHS, which is like a high definition VHS tape. Mini DVDs, Super Bit DVDs, Video 8s, CDIs, DivX discs, and I think that's everything. I think I could be. I'm probably missing something, but those are at least all the main ones. So yeah, I have a lot of. I love just collecting like and just like understanding like the history of, the different like variations of different like artworks and how things have changed over time. And yeah, I just love collecting all of the different types of formats. But
Well, and do you think you have a different appreciation when you're watching some movies between, like, say, a 4K TV to a tube
mhm.
CRT TV or to a projector, or do you get a different feel, a different emotional reaction when you're like watching some of those movies?
Yeah, like a few months ago, I had like a CRT TV like sitting on the floor over on this side, and I just like popped in like old like horror VHS tapes, and I was sitting on the floor just watching them in the dark, and I'm like, I feel like a little kid. Like
Yeah.
it's just like something about it, because I'm like, yeah, they make this movie on 4K or whatever, but I'm like, it's just not the same feeling, you know. And even with like film, a friend and me, we like sat down and I projected like 17 minutes of Star Wars or A New Hope,
Yeah.
on 8 millimeter film on the garage door, and we just
Yeah.
like sat outside and watched it. It was just such a like different feeling than like watching it in front of a screen. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I
Uh,
love it.
Absolutely. That's one thing I always talk about with people. I have it's probably kind of a cheaper, not the cheapest, but not the most expensive, but I have a little portable projector
Hmm.
that you can throw movies up onto. And I've done that on a garage door or a
Hmm.
blank wall in somebody's home. And the sound and picture is not going to compete with the modern 4K movie, but there's
Right.
sometimes I just get this fun feeling
Hmm.
to throw up, 100 or whatever inch image, even if it's not the best one you could possibly get, still have a good time sitting back, having a bag of popcorn, and watching a movie that way. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do you collect any other formats besides DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, or?
I still have some old VHS that I had growing up. There's a lot of VHS and DVDs that I got out of the collection that I wish I would not have. I always comment on. I'm a I'm a kind of a tech nerd where I love technology. I
Hmm.
love the newest things. So when streaming started coming out, and that got to be a bigger thing, I was a really big adopter in streaming and thought, oh, this is the best thing ever, and I can free up all this room, and I got rid of some things that I wish I would not have. I still enjoy streaming, and I think it's a good way to get to introduce myself to different movies that I'm not sure about, but I can dip my toe into a lot of different things without making a big investment into that. So I still love that, but um, yeah, I have those regret stories of clearing out some things I wish I would not have.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
but
feel like I hear that a lot.
oh,
Where
it's a
like,
common, yeah.
yeah.
I think that's like a common story between anybody that that collects.
Hmm.
I think it's a pretty common story that you'll hear.
Hmm.
Um, I'm gonna look here just real quick and just run through the chat just
Oh yeah,
real
yeah.
quickly here and just say hi to some. Izzy was asking, who are some of your or what are some of your comfort movies? Or sorry, wow, I cannot read. Who are some of your comfort movie YouTubers? So maybe YouTubers that you like to go out and watch and
Um, I mean, one that I personally really like watching is Daisuke Beppu.
oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
he's another one that's like just such a like big inspiration. Where when it comes to like correcting or collecting like Criterion and stuff, I
yes.
love watching all of his stuff. And I'm trying to think of any others. Films by Color is another one that I
Oh
enjoy
yeah,
watching.
yeah.
Um, and I feel like there was one other at least. But what are some of yours? While I think.
I'm all over the place, and so I know that people will be like, "You're cheating out of the answer," or answering the question. But I'm so all over the place, and I that's the thing too, where I just love running it across other people and
Mhm.
to kind of have that. Wow, somebody else likes things that I like too,
Mhm.
and the group gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and so like
Mhm.
even like running across your channel, I'll admit I'm newer to your channel, but I come across it and you hear things that I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm hearing new things that, movies I don't know about myself, but you're kind of talking a common language that maybe some people right around you don't always get an interest in talking about, but then you find
Yeah.
that outlet to be able to do that. And yeah, I'm going to hit on that later, but Daisuke, like when you're talking about him, I think a Criterion for sure for him, and that might be, if we get to it, I have some Criterion questions for you
Oh
because
yeah.
I know you got a big collection of that. So,
Oh yeah.
but we got that for sure. Jeff was saying, I just might, Steve, my oldest. Oh, I might have missed out what that question was, but I'm good at missing that, so I'll keep on moving on. I misspeak a lot on this, so
Oh no,
just
you're good.
bear with me. Oh, we got Jamie in here saying hello. Thank you, Jamie, for saying hi. So before we dive into, I guess the Criterion thing I wanted to dive into with you, but
Hmm.
before we get into that, since we were talking about your movie room a little bit, I know you have on your videos like putting this together, that room together. Like it was Was it a little bit of a blank canvas, and you came in there and you're like, "This is going to be my movie collection," and you went
Yeah.
for it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I've always been like good at building things. Like
Hmm.
that's just been a skill that I've always had. And when we moved into this house, it was kind of like in the back of my mind because there was a bunch of other things like we had to paint and put flooring in and top to bottom and everything. But in the back of my mind, it was like, this basement will eventually turn into the movie room. And so,
Right. Right.
um, I would kind of like come down here and like mentally like plan out exactly how things would lay out. Um, and so like when we moved in, all of the movies were just like sitting up in boxes in the living room. And so I was just really eager to put everything away exactly how I wanted it. And yeah, so it's just kind of like I try to, in this room, I really try to maximize every possible square inch of space, which I'm already out of room. I can't believe that I am, but so there's already like things like in my like brain of like, well, how can I expand? How could I make it bigger? And um, yeah, it's just kind of like always just I don't know, like I kind of mentally planned out how I would lay everything out. But
I was going to say, when I'm watching your videos, you know, watching when you did kind of your room tour of that, but just anytime you're showing things, sometimes you're in different spots within that basement or that
mhm.
room there, and you have these really creative nooks and crannies in there, which what like you're talking about, like maximizing the space that you have and
Mhm.
using it to the fullest potential. And so, like right there, you're sitting in a chair, but you got shelves all around you right now, and that's awesome. I love seeing that. So,
Oh yeah.
um, a lot of thought process in there. So, what would you say if somebody's got a blank room, big, small, whatever, just from your experience of going through what you did with your space that you have there? Do you have any advice you would give to people when they're thinking it out? Like that, you're like, oh, I wish I would have known this when I was diving into it right off the bat.
Um, well, I'd say if you're able to build your own shelves.
Mm,
I've learned that over the years of like because I've bought so many different types of shelves, like bookcases and smaller DVD racks and stuff. But just over the years, like I've started just to build my own shelves. I know not everybody is as like, I guess like I don't even know what the right word is. Like they can't build things as well as I
right.
can sometimes, and it's just a skill that I'm blessed with. But if you are able to, I think that is a way to fully maximize your space because you can customize this like
Right.
the spacing um, and I mean even with me sometimes like these shelves that you see behind me, like you can even see like this little space in between
Mm,
on the
mm,
sides. That's just because of like when I was building these are all have been built for so many different rooms that I'm like that drives me crazy. I'm like I want to redo that shelf and make it just like 2 inches wider. But
right.
um, so if you do have the space, I would say like building shelves, but um, or if you have like a blank canvas of a room, man, hmm, that's a great question. um,
It's tough. I mean, 'cause
yeah,
I think no matter what, when you go into a room, even if it's just putting up one shelf or two or
yeah,
whatever, sometimes you can go back and be like, ah, I might have done that a little differently, the next time around. Or I want to pass this down so that little hiccup that I ran into,
hmm,
like you don't run into that as well. But I could see what you're saying about building your own shelves because if you build it specific to the room, you buy something off of Amazon or IKEA or whatever,
hmm,
it's a set size and that might not be exactly for the space that you have, but if you can build your own, you could fill that whole thing.
hmm.
So I could definitely see that for sure.
Yeah, and I mean some of my shelves, like the gap between like the spacing of like
Mm-hmm.
above the shelves, like sometimes it's way bigger, sometimes it's not, and
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I've had shelves where it's like there's a spot where it's not quite tall enough for a Blu-ray, and it's like just like the spacing, and like I have to turn things sideways. But um, yeah, I mean, if I had to do it all over again, I'd probably just I don't even know. I'd probably start off with just building my own shelves and not even wasting the money and
Yeah.
effort to like buy other ones. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh no, that's great. Yeah, it's a great. That's something that I just have some pre-bought stuff behind me right now with this, but
hmm,
I could see someday I could maximize a lot more space if I could just So that might be something I dip my toe into as well. We'll have
Hmm.
to see with that. But we were getting into the Criterion a little bit when you were
Hmm.
bringing up Dice K. Getting into that, what drew you to Criterion Collection? What got you into it? You know, at some point you went and bought your first one, whether you knew what it was or not. At that point, what got you into Criterion?
So I was working at a like a video store. It was buybacks. It was not very popular. It was actually pretty small, but basically used video store. And the one employee was we were kind of talking about things, and he asked if I ever heard of Criterion, and at that point I did not, and so he's kind of started explaining what it was, and I loved the idea. Like what really drew me in was like how they were all spy numbered, and so
Yeah,
because I was really into like collections of things, and so like I think it started with the James Bond thing of trying to get all those, and um, I was trying to get all of like the best picture winners there for a while, and just trying to get like series put together, and so the idea of the Criterion Collection all being spine numbered, I really, really liked. Uh, and then also on top of that was just like I started diving into what the movies were and kind
yeah.
of like, oh, this movie influenced this, and this kind of like this movie, like without this one, we wouldn't have X, Y, and Z. And so it was just kind of like um, that was also very appealing to me. Of kind of like when I goes back to like also understand like learning or loving like the history of films and stuff. And so um, I don't know. A lot of the films really were like right up my alley. That's kind of when I really got into like foreign films, and uh, yeah, everything about the Criterion Collection I just really really liked, and um, yeah, I also just loved that there were like high quality pieces that had great special features and great packaging. But yeah.
Uh, that's one thing to be said about it. I know some people have their opinions one way or the other about
Hmm.
Criterion, but really, I feel like they have a pretty wide gamut of films.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about Princess Bride or Breakfast Club
Hmm.
to like deep, deep, dark uh, dive classics and everything. I mean,
Hmm.
it's got quite a range in the movies. Do you do you have any that are like coming out, whether they've been announced or you just don't have yet? I know. Sorry, I know I'm mixing questions here,
Oh
but
no, you're
I know
good.
in one of your videos I popped into, you were talking about some of your upcoming year goals or
Hmm.
things that you want to work towards, and there were some spine numbers that you wanted to kind of dive into and fill in more. I guess what's your strategy with that? I have a lot of things there that I'm asking, but
Oh no,
um,
you're good.
any new releases coming out that you're really excited about? And how do you go about looking at the ones that you want to fill in those spine numbers? Do you wait for sales, or what's your strategy?
Yeah, so my ultimate goal when it comes to Criterion is to own all of them.
Yeah.
And so currently I have about 600 spine numbers, so
Oh, nice,
roughly half the collection.
nice.
Um, and so my strategy now is kind of working in blocks of 100. And so like I was really trying to get the first 100 spine numbers, and then once I got all of those I moved on to the next 100 and next, and so on and so on. And so in this upcoming year I currently have spine numbers 1 through 300. And so like obviously there's some other ones that are past that, so like I don't know, like uncut gems and stuff like that, which is spy number 1101.
Hmm.
And so it's kind of like I try to, if I come across them at a good price, and pretty much Blu-rays, if they're under $20, I consider to be a good price. I try to buy them as quickly as I can.
Right.
But when it comes to like consecutively buying them, it's really in that 100, like that next 100 bracket. Um, and I mean, if I came across like a deal on Facebook Marketplace or something of like, I don't know, 5 Criterion for $20, and it's like some random spy numbers, like I'd definitely buy it. Um, and so that's kind of my strategy, is just to work on like that next 100 spy numbers, but then also in the meantime, just keeping an eye out for any other like ones that I do not have in my collection. Um, and so, yeah, I guess that's my strategy. But as far as newer releases, I really don't pay too much attention to like the latest release, like the
Okay.
latest releases that come out,
Yeah.
um, unless if it's a movie that I'm like I have to get that on day one. I guess for instance, like um, Inland Empire was a great
Okay.
example,
No, you got right
which
away.
which unfortunately, like I don't know if you heard the news
Oh,
about David Lynch
I
today.
just did today. I heard
Yeah,
about that. Yep.
that's so sad. But um, this was one that I like. It was high on my list of like a wish list for Criterion releases, and then it
Mhm.
was announced, and I'm like, okay, the next sale that happens, I'm buying that. So there's stuff like that that will come out that I'm like, well, I have to get that during the sale. I usually do wait till Barnes and Noble sales or the
That
Criterion sale.
that's what I was
Um,
going to ask because I definitely do not have as many criteria as you have on there, but I it seems like I'll usually hang out and wait for whether it's through Barnes and Noble or the
mhm.
Criterion site directly, waiting for some of those sales to come up. And I didn't know if that was kind of your strategy as well, because a lot of times it's not. I get maybe that's a good thing about Criterion, where there's some labels where you're worried if you don't get it right away, you don't get the limited edition
Yep.
slip for it or whatever. But
Hmm.
Criterion, it's like it's the same package,
Hmm.
whether you got it right away or. Um, I appreciate that about it. I don't know what your thoughts are on
Oh
it,
yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, that's probably my least favorite part about Vinegar Syndrome,
yeah,
is just like it seems like they might release something and then it's like limited to per customer. I'm like,
yeah,
well, I'm like people are probably going to buy two, like hold like keep one sealed, keep one for themselves, and then when it goes out of print, list it on eBay and make their money back. Like I don't know, which is fine, but it just seems like I'm like you're I, mean, I feel like you're encouraging the resell market more by
yeah,
doing something like that, which I guess from a business standpoint, it makes sense on their end because it's probably going to be pumping in more money quicker. But yeah, I always get kind of bummed out when like something sells out on Vinegar Syndrome that I wanted, or
yeah,
um, I don't know. So I do like that about Criterion. I don't have to worry about something like a limited edition or something.
right,
Uh, and it seems like most things don't really go out of print anymore. It seems like they're pretty good about keeping the rights to everything.
yeah.
So
Yeah, when they first come are released out, you don't have to
mhm.
worry about that right off the bat. I mean, it's going
Oh
to be
yeah,
a while before.
yeah,
I always grew up with westerns, and so
mhm.
one of the newer releases that they have listed out is Winchester 73. That's going to be
Mhm.
coming out with,
Mhm.
I that was one that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, definitely, I've been relying on those sales quite a bit,
Oh yeah.
hanging out for those.
Do
Um,
you have a like a favorite Criterion? Sorry,
no, no,
for
no, no,
I
go
was gonna
for it.
say, do you have
No,
a favorite Criterion release so far that they've put out?
I've had a lot of fun digging into it. Like I said, mine's way smaller than what you have. I'm trying to think what I have on there, but some was diving into some older movies that um, I wasn't as familiar with or didn't know a lot about, and ended up having a lot of fun with it. So
Mhm.
there was like a Holiday. Um, what was the other one with? Oh, and there's some newer ones too, like Sound of Metal. That was
Mhm.
one that I really enjoyed. Getting into that one, but then I had fun too, like the family, some of the kids when they were younger, and even when I was younger, I remember people watching a lot. There was like Princess Bride,
Oh yeah.
and like was watched a lot, and our kids ended up really liking it, and that came out, and I got the release for that, and so there's a lot of them like that. Diving into, I was always a big fan of science fiction, and the Incredible Shrinking. Was it the Incredible Shrinking Man, or I might be mixing up the name of it? Or
Yes.
yeah, yeah, right there. Yes, sorry. I
No,
always
you're
second
good.
guess myself when I start saying things, but
You're good.
I had a great time going into that, and that's just been in the last couple years that I got that one and dove into it. So that's the thing. Have a big, wide range of movies that they throw out there. From you could say like the artsy like crowd type movies to
Hmm.
the pop culture movies, and um, yeah. So I don't know if I really answer your question, but there's a lot of them that I've really enjoyed jumping into, getting into it. Even like Dazed and Confused. I mean, it's kind of funny when you have you're talking about Inland Empire to
Hmm.
Dazed and Confused to Nosferatu to like they have such a gamut of
Hmm.
releases that they put out there. It's pretty cool. But the one I was just going to bring up, Jeff was saying that he really dug your Criterion pickups.
Oh, thank you.
So you definitely dig into that for sure. Um, let's see if I can run through here real quick. We got Chilo in here saying hi to all of us. Thank you, sir. We got Larry, the horror cat dad, in here saying, "What is your favorite Criterion that you have, and what is a Grail one that you wish you had?" It's
Ooh,
a tough one.
it's a
You might
great
have to even
question.
come back to it. And if you have to come back to it, it's okay. We can do that too.
I'd say, I mean, some of my favorites is I mean, which is timely now, but all my David Lynch, all my favorite,
Yeah.
like that's probably my favorite films within the Criterion Collection. One that I always talk about that is actually unfortunately out of print, but Contempt by Jean-Luc Godard.
Oh,
It's one that's I always go back to because I love it. And man, um, I don't even know. I mean, there's so many that man, there's a few
you.
other ones that I'm thinking of, but
I was going to say
yeah,
you have a lot to pick from.
yeah,
You got a good collection of them so far. It seems like.
yeah. I've seen everything from spy numbers 1 through 300, so I've seen at least
Nice.
300 plus a bunch like randomly mixed in. But
Yeah.
um, and as far as a holy like grail that I'm like missing, I don't have Ran, which is next in line, kind of like Akira Kurosawa's Ran. Um, and I don't know if there's anything else, any like at least big items within the Criterion Collection that I'm missing. I feel like I have a lot of like the ones that I really really want. Um, but yeah,
Nice. Now you're getting a lot of tough questions. I see. Do you have a favorite after closing credit scene from a movie?
Hmm.
I'm not coming up with something right off the bat, so that's why I said the tough questions are coming out. We might have to circle back on some of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You'll have to let us know if you have one. Throw it in the chat if you have one that you really like to go back to. We got Eli in here saying what's up. Corey in chat. Thanks, Eli. Um, Jeff was saying I've rearranged my room so many times in 6 years. Have even had custom shelves for the last 5 of those. I think I'm finally fitting in nicely, not to only pause the growth. Yeah, anytime you think you're done, you're not.
Yeah.
I think we all can agree on that. But I'm just going through here real quick. We got Gizmo giving me a nice friendly face on the chat. Thank you, Gizmo. Always appreciated it. Got Texas in here saying hi to everyone. I'm skipping through a lot of the highs back and forth. So sorry, everyone. I just want to maximize our time, but I appreciate every one of you coming in here. It always means a lot. That's why we do the live streams. I love seeing y'all out here saying hi. I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody that's in here that I have not said hi to. But we'll kind of run through. Wow, every time I think I'm caught up, I'm way behind. So I'm going to kind of put a pin in it for right now anyway. But one of the things I was going to take a look at too, but what's a movie you think? So we were talking about Criterion a lot, and not to put like a hard question out to you right now, but do you feel there's any that you really love that have you wish could get the Criterion love that the Criterion release for?
Hmm. Actually, I was just actually just today I was talking to my wife about um, like if Criterion ever put out like a complete, I mean now would be better than ever, but like a
Oh,
complete David Lynch box set,
yeah,
including Twin Peaks, including the return, like Twin Peaks the Return, and everything that they've like so far they also have the rights to. It's like if they could just do that, that would be, that might be a pre-order. I might have to pay full price for it and not wait for a sale because something like that would be so amazing. um, I mean, Twin Peaks. I know they don't really do TV shows, but I think
right.
Twin Peaks would. Uh, might just be like one of the best things that they might put out, in my opinion. Um, I know I had like a list of things early in my YouTube, like on my channel. I think I had a video of like dream Criterion releases. Um, and I'm trying to think. Um, yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a few. What's it called? The Devil by, I'm blanking on his name. Or The Devils. Um, Ken, what is his name now?
I'm trying to look.
I want to say it's Ken something or
Ken Russell.
yes, Ken Russell.
Thank you,
Um,
Google.
um, yes, that's a fantastic film that is kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
And the another one that is probably in my like top 4 favorite films of all time. But the movie Comet. Nobody has ever seen it, but it has Justin Long in it, and it is. I've seen it so many times now, but I absolutely love it.
Okay, I have
Um,
not seen that. I thought I knew what you were talking about, but I just looked it up and nope, I don't know that one. But I'm gonna write it down. I always joke about um, every time I do a live stream, I have a pen and paper here because I get so many great recommendations
mhm.
from the. Okay, so that's a good recommendation from you.
I really like it. It is like a love story. So if you're not into like love stories, like I would say maybe like avoid it. But I love love stories that play with time a lot, and so like
Oh yeah.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is like one of my all time favorites. Um, and another director that I think would really fit into the Criterion thing would be Andrei Zulawski. Um, he is the director of Possession
Okay.
from 1981, I think. And a lot of his films are very hard to find. And so I think his films would benefit a lot from uh, a Criterion release. And yeah, I think he's one of those directors that is just super underappreciated
Mm-hmm.
as like, as an artist. He also did On the Silver Globe, which is one of the, I would say, if it ever actually was finished, because it was like 80% complete before he had I don't know if you know the whole backstory to it or
I
not,
don't.
but
No, I don't.
it's like a whole thing. I won't get into it.
Another. That's a whole nother stream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very long story short.
Yeah.
Basically, he was forced to shut down production
Mm.
on the film and was never able to actually complete it. But if it was complete, I would say it might have gone down as one of the greatest sci-fi films ever made.
Hmm.
Um, so it is. He's another director that I think would benefit from a Criterion box set. But yeah,
Okay. I know diving off a little bit there, but you were talking about romantic comedy or romantic movies that deal with
Mhm.
time. Have you ever seen one that I just recently rewatched with my wife was About Time? Have
Mhm.
you ever seen that one?
Yep,
Or
yep.
what are your thoughts on that? And you won't hurt my feelings either way.
I really liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah, my
but I
wife
kind of
also liked
dived
it.
into that too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have it. I need to get it on. I don't know if there's a Blu-ray of it, but I have the DVD for it. Um,
I do have a Blu-ray of that one.
okay,
Yeah.
so I'll have to upgrade eventually.
I had to buy that because usually when there's a movie that my wife will actually watch with me, I usually buy it,
Mhm.
you know, to make sure we have it. Because I was like, oh, if we want to have a movie night, that's one you will watch with me. So,
Mhm.
great cast. Bill Nye, I always like him. I don't know why, but not saying anything against him, but I'm like, he has a different presence in some of the
Mhm.
movies. So,
Mhm.
um, completely off track, but. Uh, what was the remake that they did of that he was in Living? And it's called Living. It's a remake of a Criterion movie. I'll come back to it. I don't want to pause on that. Sorry,
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I'm having a hiccup on that one. So, but yeah, I enjoy watching him for sure.
Mhm.
Um, do you have any directors or movie or like if you could I always throw out some hypotheticals sometimes, and I know sometimes these are kind of hard, but if you were going to do like a watch party of a movie and you could pick a famous director, actor, actress, whoever, You can pick them and which movie you'd watch. Do you have somebody you would be like, that would be really cool to be able to sit down, watch this movie with them, and have a conversation?
Hmm.
Like maybe it's like some of your fan favorites, dead or alive.
Hmm.
You'd love to be able to sit down and talk through a movie with them.
Like with the director who like made it, or like the actor or anything. Like, is that what you mean?
Either one. Like
Um,
that, if you had a stronger pull to either one of them.
I mean, I always lean towards director.
Yeah.
I was just, it's one of those like, I don't know, since I really love the process of directing and stuff. But man, I'd probably say, I mean, I keep bringing up David Lynch, but
That's okay.
I'd probably
No,
say
that's okay.
David Lynch.
Yeah.
I would love to, I think it'd be like really fun to sit down and watch The Return.
Okay.
And kind of discuss what his thought process on things. And yeah, Twin Peaks: The Return. If you've never seen it, it is. I keep saying I need to make a video on this and explain, like, actually explain what I mean when I say it. But I would argue, in my opinion, it's the greatest piece of media we've ever gotten. Like,
Yeah.
period. It's not necessarily my favorite movie of all time. It's technically the third season of Twin Peaks, but it's not my favorite movie of all time. But I would probably have to say it's probably the greatest piece of media. A lot of people would disagree with me on that, but I don't know. I think it's just a mixture of if you view it as an 18-hour long movie, it is like probably one of the only times in like history where a director has pretty much had full creative control with not even the boundaries of like 2.5 hours. I mean, he had 18 hours to tell his story, and so um, yeah, that's the short answer why I think it's the greatest. But
Well, that's cool.
um, yeah, I would love to sit down. It would have been fun to sit down with him and discuss everything. But yeah.
So talking about that then too, you being able to discuss with him about that movie. Do you ever so you have such a great collection there and you have a cool setup for it. Do you ever share that with do you ever invite people in and like kind of do your own like you're the not saying the director, but you're sharing like or have them come in and pick a movie off the shelf and share it with somebody, whether it's your wife or a friend or what
Oh yeah.
have you. Do you ever do anything like that where you bring people in there and share your joy of what all that you have right there?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, pretty much anytime we have anybody over, like whether that's for dinner or coffee or whatever, um, we always end up down here, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I do the whole spiel of the whole room. I talk about the Criterion Collection, explain what that is, and talk about laser discs, what those are, and like all of the whole thing. I have almost like a memorized script now of exactly like how I talk through everything. But
And then you
uh,
have me bring you on here tonight and I make you like go through the whole thing again, right?
oh no, I love talking about it. So
I
it's
do
like,
too. I do too. I could never get tired
um,
of talking about it. But
yeah, I love sharing this room with people because
yeah.
um, I feel like it is I mean, this is like an extension of like who I am as a
Yeah.
person. So it's
It's your
like,
personality.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I love even like when I have friends over, just being like, hey, let's watch this. Like I have a
Yeah.
section of like good bad movies where they're just like, like Birdemic and Troll 2 and The Room and stuff like that. And
Let's have
so,
fun.
right. And like, let's just watch one of these.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of what I do. But
Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, you have your like your own video store down there and you can have somebody come in there, walk around and be like,
mhm.
what what the heck is this one? And you're like, oh, let me tell you about that.
Oh yeah.
You can kind of dig into it. So no, that's fun. It's one thing. It's fun to have it yourself, but it's fun to share. I
Hmm.
think, whether it's high art movie or like you said, Birdemic or whatever. Like it's fun to share it with somebody
Hmm.
and sit down, watch it, joke around or laugh, cry, whatever the
Hmm.
movie's having you do at the time. But yeah, I definitely. No, it's very cool. I'm glad you're able to do that, and
Hmm.
you definitely have such a great collection. Like I said, we were
Thanks.
getting into all the different formats you do, and I'm like, wow, you're okay. So I got to ask this then: have you ever had a format that when you have so many different formats there, which is great. I think it's awesome,
Mm.
but have you ever ran across one that you started to dip your toe into and you're like, no, I'm good. I don't need to go into that one.
Um, I would say like certain ones like I've kind of like over the years I've kind of like started limiting myself when it comes to like if I come across like I'm like I don't need to buy every beta tape that I come across
Right.
or every single like laserdisc I see like I used to be like that. I used to be like, oh, if it's on laserdisc, like I'm going to get it and add it
Yep.
to my collection. And um, since then, I've kind of like narrowed down to collecting specifics. But I mean, there's been opportunities where it's like I only might have one form, like one item of that format, and then I like see another of that same format, like Video 8, for instance. Um, and um, I don't know if you're not familiar, they're like little like mini VHS tapes, basically.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Actually, on the first Mission Impossible movie, that's how he gets one of
Oh,
his missions on
yeah.
the airplane. They were
Yeah.
popular on airplanes, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I only have like Sleepless in Seattle on Video 8. And I came across another Video 8 semi recently, but I'm like, I don't, I already have that movie. I'm like, I don't need it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
good with just having one just to like represent that format. Um, so yeah, there's been times where I'm like, like I don't need to. I would love to really, really go down the rabbit hole of 35 millimeter film.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
the dream is to have like a whole setup with like 35 millimeter prints and a projector and the whole thing. But I'm learning that that is a very, very expensive
Yes.
format to collect.
Yep.
So maybe someday. But
So do you ever, I always got to ask this because I deal with it myself.
mm-hmm,
And, everybody's collection is what it is. Some are bigger, some are larger, but
mm-hmm,
it's what you have. But do you ever find it's hard to balance enjoying what you have compared to what you want or what you're bringing in?
yep.
And how do you try to deal with that?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, one of my goals this year is to like uh, spend more time watching what I have than researching what I don't have.
Yes.
Um, because I mean, I'm sure understand it just as well, where it's like you see all the new releases coming out, and you're like, oh, I want that and that, and like, and then there's times where I will buy something and it will sit on the shelf for 3, 4, 5 years, sometimes longer
Yep.
before I actually get around to watching it. And I'm like, oh, well, at least I own it. And like, I'll watch it eventually. But yeah, I really this year I'm like trying to focus in on like not worrying about the latest releases, not worrying about the limited editions or anything. Like just focus on watching more
Yep.
of the things that I have. Cause
Right.
I'm like, there's a lot of money invested in all
Oh
this
yeah.
stuff. And it's like, it's all pointless if I'm not actually enjoying it. So
That's the reason you're getting it, to be able to have
yeah,
it and watch it. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
so I mean that's why I really like about how I'm doing the Criterion thing, where I'm actually watching them in spine number order. Um, and so like they're never going to add any spine numbers that from like 1 through 300. They're never going to add any spine numbers into that because they can't. But
Right.
so I'm like, oh, I've seen all of those. I'm like, I'll just keep moving forward and watching more. And which I think some people that doesn't work for them, but like for me, it's like, well, I'm kind of like forcing myself to be exposed to movies that might not have been ones that were like right up at the top for me to watch, but um, I'm forcing myself to like watch more of what I own.
Yeah. No, it's no matter how big your collection is, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
always a balancing act that we all deal with. If you collect anything physically, just to have that, what you got, what you haven't watched, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing new things coming out, whether it's new or old that you're looking for and bringing in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do that a little bit more this year too. I think I think that's always a goal, to watch more of the things that you got wrapped on the shelf and
Yeah,
have a reason why you got that on the shelf, and
yeah, and I think it's like in a way it's like it's nice because you might watch something and be like, oh, I really didn't like that. I don't need to hold
right.
on to it. And um, there might be a release that you really want, and you're like, well, I'm not going to ever watch this box set ever again. I didn't like it. Sell it, buy something that that you actually will like. So it's always a balance, I feel like.
Yeah. I was going to run through the chat just real
Oh
quick
yeah,
again
yeah.
here, real quick.
Go for it.
We got Prince in here. Happy Crosstimist. Hello. Good morning. Oh, yeah, good morning for you. Hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you around for a while, man. So I hope you're doing well. A lot of highs back and forth with that. Jamie is saying that really like the after credit scene in Napoleon Dynamite.
I
I
don't
gotta even
remember.
go back to even remember that one.
Yeah, I don't remember
I'll admit,
it.
I'll have to admit, I'll have to go back and remember that one as well. A lot of love going out to David Lynch, for sure. Jamie was saying there is A to Z box set for
Hmm.
Twin Peaks. It has everything, all 3 seasons and both movies.
I'm really regretting I had the opportunity to buy that for $100, and I regret not picking it up because now it's like $300, and um, yeah. So I had it pre-ordered at one point, and I canceled my pre-order, and I'm like, I wish I didn't.
Yeah,
Um,
it's we always have those moments where it's like
yeah,
kind of I'm being good and holding off, but then you look back and you're like, I should have grabbed that.
yeah,
Get Sin in here, Sin's Corner saying, "What a movie collection back there." Yeah, and that's
thank you.
only a small portion.
Yeah, there's like the whole other side of the room too, which
Yeah, I was gonna say check. Like I said before, I've a lot of Kyle's links in the description. Go check him out. He has some room tours and other videos where you see different parts of the room, and it's quite the collection. It's very very cool. I am envious. I'll say that for sure. Uh, Kyle's background and collection there seems like it's just a facade to cover up his secret headquarters. You're an undercover agent or something.
well,
We'll
behind
go
that
with
wall is the furnace, so it's
it. Yeah, that's kind of how most of our things are. It's like, yeah, right behind there is nothing too exciting. But,
yeah.
Gizmo saying, you're still here. I need to sleep again. See you soon, Corey. James Bond tomorrow. 25 titles, worst to best. Yeah. Gizmo is a good friend of mine from Norway, and
Okay.
we keep on talking about rewatching all the Bond films and doing a live stream ranking them. And I said he's got to give me a little bit of while to get back through all those. So,
Oh yeah.
we got Huck in here, Huck's Pop Culture Cafe, saying, "Hey, Corey and Kyle, and all you fine movie people, thanks for jumping in. If you're still in here, I know I fell behind here a little bit, but." Huck was saying, "Amen, Kyle. Watch your collection. That's part of the goals this year. Watch more of what I bought." I think a lot of collectors can agree with that type of goal
Yeah.
for sure. Uh, all right, I'm hurrying here.
Oh,
Sorry,
no,
I
you're
kind of
good.
do the. Got Francisco in here saying, "Hey, Kyle, I'm here. LOL. Starbucks got me distracted." And hey, Corey. Well, hello.
Yes, he's one of my big fans.
Oh, nice.
He
Very
watches all
good.
my live streams. So hello, Francisco.
Well,
I never know how to say his name. Francesco. So I
I
apologize.
was going to say I might have said it wrong too, but either way, I appreciate you following Kyle over here and checking us out. So appreciate it. Thanks for jumping in here for sure. Prince, he always likes to ask this question when he jumps in the streams. He always likes to ask what your serotonin, tomato, serotonin boost question time, buddy. He's saying your movie that you can watch if you're in a bad mood, you're kind of down and out. Do you have any movie, one or a couple that you can just throw in to put you in a good mood, get you going in the right direction?
I would say my favorite movie of all time is Empire Strikes Back, and so that's
Nice.
probably the answer. I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just one of those movies that I absolutely like. I mean, either that or the first Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like first Back to the Future. It's like especially that last like the whole third act of it of like right when he's trying to get the time machine going and stuff and he's
Yeah.
trying to connect the wires. It's like I mean, it's one of those movies that even like if it's playing on in the background and it's like when that scene pops on, it's like no matter what I'm doing, it's like I have to sit and like watch of
Yeah.
like is he going to make it? Like even though I've seen it 1,000 times, it's just like one of those movies that um, I don't know always makes me smile. It's one of those great ones.
I'm right there with you with that one. I'm old enough. I was a kid on a vacation with my family when that movie came out, and I saw it in the theater. And I remember that to this day because we thought we were going to be late to the movie. We were rushing into it. But Back to the Future is, I always got a big heart spot in my heart for that one. It's a great movie anyway, but I
Mhm.
just have a lot of good memories with the family going to see that. But yeah, that's a great one for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Do you have any that's like on top of your list?
So some, it's funny. You can have some that aren't necessarily like happy movies, but they're
Hmm.
comfort movies. And
Hmm.
one I always kind of throw out, one I can watch at any time. It's a longer one, and I know not everybody is into it, but Open Range
Okay.
with Kevin Costner, Robert Duvall,
Mm.
Annette Bening. It's a western, and it's not for everybody. There's just a lot of the cinematography in that. It's just beautiful settings, a great story, and I always say I'm a sucker for the stories where there's somebody that has like a dark past trying to escape that.
Hmm.
Sometimes those ghosts come back to haunt them, and they got to deal with that.
Hmm.
So it falls into that storyline for me. So I'm a sucker for those, but that's one I could throw on and watch and be happy at
Hmm.
any time. But I know it's not a happy necessarily movie, but I'll go with that. But Back to the Future, I could throw that one in anytime and
Oh
watch
yeah.
that for sure. So earlier we were talking about some of your goals where you're going to be cracking into more of the Criterion Collection, the spine numbers, filling in some of those gaps that you have with that. Do you have any other goals that, whether it was on that video or not, for your channel or your collection that you kind of want to focus on for this year?
Um, that's a great question. Um, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, simply just watching, um,
Mm.
a lot of what I have. And so there's like box sets that you see behind me of like that all Hauntsby Hours from Severin. I have yet to dive into that set, and I'm like, I really want to. I just haven't had a chance to. And
There's
I mean,
probably
there's
a lot of
been
hours there too.
oh yeah, yeah. I think the one documentary is like there's like a documentary in the middle of it that's like 3 hours long or
Yeah,
something, but
right.
they say it's like well worth the time. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to watch it, but. Um, and there's other sets that I have. Like I have the Akira Kurosawa box sets up
Oh,
on my
nice.
the 25 films Akira Kurosawa Criterion set,
Yeah.
which is kind of like in the corner over there.
You
Um,
got you got a lot. Not
oh
to
yeah,
go off topic, but you got a lot of nice sets back behind you there.
oh yeah, that's like my that started off as like my horror wall, and it's kind of
Okay.
slowly turning into like a boutique wall.
Okay.
Um, but the Akira Kurosawa set is an example of something like I've owned that for a couple years. I was super excited to get it. I've seen movies that are within that set, but there's movies in there that I've just never actually sat down and watched, and so
Hmm.
um, really just watching a lot of that stuff. But as far as my channel, probably being more like consistent with posting. I feel like um, it's like I go through waves of like posting consistently every single week, and then
Right.
there's times where I just like life happens and just like don't get around to making a video. And um, actually, this week is a perfect example of that. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and make a video, but um, yeah, it's probably just being a little bit more consistent. But what are some of your goals that you have? Just out of curiosity, if you
I
have
would
any.
say, okay, I'm not going to piggyback off you, but the consistency thing is definitely one for mine. I'm very new to the whole YouTube thing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just a little over a year into it. I kind of really went into the live stream thing where I've enjoyed doing that. So I'd like to keep that up, but I'd say a goal would be to try to dive a little bit more into some more pre-recorded things
Mm-hmm.
that I'm thinking out and putting, not that I don't think out live streams, but you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
something I'm putting together, an idea, a thought that I want to put together into a video and put out there for people to see. That's definitely something I want to try to focus on more. I'll also say watch more unwatched movies off of my shelf as well. I think, like I said, a lot of collectors could probably agree that's a good goal to get into, but I'd say that's the big thing: consistency and maybe just dipping my toe into a little bit more in YouTube. I did a, like I said, not just the live streams, which I don't want to stop those. I have such a good time doing these,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody that's been jumping in here, I love you all for doing that, and always enjoy doing that. But maybe trying to explore maybe a more creative process where I'm like putting a theme together
Mm-hmm.
and putting a video together and wrap that all up, edit it, and put it out there for people to see. Um, I'd say that's definitely something I want to try to tackle a little bit more this year. But
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel between the two formats, between live streaming and putting together a video? Do you have one that you lean towards more than the other, or that you is I don't know. Go for it. I'll stop talking.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Um, I would say like I usually lean towards like making videos
Yeah.
more.
Yep.
I do really, really like doing live streams because like I mean, I always say this at the pretty much at the end of every single live stream, which I'm sure that people who are return always get annoyed with me saying it, but live streams are like my favorite part of the YouTube
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Mainly just because it's like I get to interact with people that watch and people who have similar. I mean, even stuff like
Right.
this where like we're interacting with people who have similar interests. And you mentioned earlier of like you might not have people in your immediate circle that like loves the stuff the same as
Right.
you do, and
Right.
I feel like I have friends that are like into movies but not into collecting.
Right.
They'll talk about what's in theaters and stuff like that, but when I tell them, I'm like, hey, Severin just released this box set of these really
Sev,
super hard films to watch and stuff like
and they're like, Sev who? Like,
right. um and so I'll ramble off like Severin, Vinegar Syndrome, like
yeah.
Blue Underground, all these things, and like they just like don't get it. And so
Yeah.
which is fine because I understand like they're into stuff that I am not really interested in. And so
Right.
everyone's interested in different things, but I love interacting with people on YouTube. And so like I read every single comment on all my videos because I just love like hearing what people have to say, their feedback and like their thoughts and things. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think I love live streams, but I also like making like the pre-recorded stuff because it's like I can make it about a specific topic.
Yeah.
And there's been times where like I think my favorite video I ever made was talking about my collecting journey of pretty much from when I started making, like when I started collecting into what it's turned into now. Um, and like, I loved doing that video. I loved doing like the like building the movie room video.
That's a
Uh,
cool one.
and
I
just
like
like
that. Yeah.
just kind of combining different interests of mine where it's like creating stuff like building stuff into also like the passion of filmmaking. And so um, I don't know, I love just like making that kind of video.
Yeah.
um, and it does kind of get like sometimes I give myself like too much pressure when it comes to making videos and I
Mm.
get stressed out. And
Hmm.
like this last Halloween, I wanted to make like a one video per week for the whole month of October, and then it turned out to only be like I think it was like 2 or 3 videos for the whole month, and I was just like really like in my head about everything. I'm like, I don't know if that's good enough idea, and
Hmm.
um, so that's also like that's like the downside. I feel like with a live stream, sometimes I could just get on and just chat with people, and it's not I don't have to think about
Right.
things, but um,
But I'll
yeah.
say, even with the live streams, I got into that same mode towards the end of last year where I was not saying no
Mhm.
sometimes. I was saying yes all the time.
Mhm.
And whether that's even to my own idea in my head of a live stream. And I planned out so many more things that I finally was like, no, I got to say, even to myself, say no. Like it's too much. And I had some ideas that fell through, and I'm okay.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, the world will keep on turning, and we can try to tackle that another time.
Yeah.
But sometimes, or at least that's how I got wrapped up a little bit too much of go, try to think of something else. And anytime somebody asked me, I'm always flattered to go on to their channel. I had a hard time saying no to that, but it's just balancing life
Mhm.
and time and um, all that fun stuff. But yeah, no, I think last year that was definitely a learning experience with me. My first full year of doing this and diving into live streaming and YouTube and everything. Just where to pull back, and it's
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
I think sometimes you build it up bigger in your head, or at least me
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I say no, or I'm like, maybe next time it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
We'll be able to do that. So,
Yeah. But speaking of that, like I would like, well, I'm thinking I'd love to have you on my channel at some point too. So
oh,
I'm just throwing that out there too. But
you just tell me, and I'll do it.
okay.
Don't ever feel pressured. I always tell people, like, don't, that's one thing. And I'm not saying you're saying it for this, but I always, on these things, like if I subscribe to you or if I have you on my channel, like I don't ever expect something in return other than like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You've given
Yeah.
me what in return that I've expected in that. If you ever want me to, I'm flattered, and I would, yeah, I'd love to do that. And
Yeah.
so yeah, just just let me know, and we'll
Yeah.
hang out and do that. But I always joke around. You don't ever have to twist my arm too hard to talk about movies or music or pop culture or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I usually have a hard time shutting up, so I'll just keep on going.
Yeah.
But
But I
you
would
have a
love
great,
to.
you have a
Yeah.
fun channel. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
thanks. Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I know you could. Yeah, I really want to try incorporate like bringing more people onto my channel too,
Yeah.
because I've been on a couple live streams like for other channels. I think I've had one person. What was his name now? Excelsior Movie Reviews, I believe. He
Oh
was
yeah,
on a
yeah,
live stream.
Steve. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Good friend. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
he was on a live stream, and I just love like I don't know. I love the interaction of it. So it's like it's just a fun
Yeah.
part of it. But
Yeah. Steve's a good guy. I got to have him on again. So I've had him on one time before on my channel, and
mm,
got to get him on again. But yeah, it's a different dynamic when you
mhm,
have. That is such a different feel. I have a good time doing solo streams with just the
mhm,
chat or with other people in the live stream with me, but it is a lot different. Like right now, the two of us
mhm.
throwing conversations off at each other, or just reading chat. I still have a good time with it, but I always feel like a little more pressure of like, don't stop talking, like keep something going, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's different.
yeah, yeah. Because
So you're
there's
looking
time.
for your channel, like reaching out a little bit more, having some more people on the channel. And
Yeah, I'd like to this year. I think it's just like I have a list on my phone of just like I mean, like some of my dream people are like Daisuke Beppu is like
yeah, oh
on my list to like have him on my channel. I don't know if he'll like. I need to reach out and maybe try to set something up, but I mean,
hey,
Films by Color is another one.
you,
And yeah,
I would say okay. I always laugh at myself when I try to like give advice to people because I'm so new and so little in this whole space. So take it with a grain of salt. But like in
mhm,
my experience with this, I've just like accepted like not to worry about if somebody says no or doesn't even respond at all.
mhm.
Like you just throw it out there. What's the worst that could happen? Like you definitely won't get a yes if you don't ask, kind of a
Yeah,
thing. But
yeah,
if they say no, it's not right for me, or don't even respond, like I'm okay, and just like move on. There's other
mhm,
people, and maybe it will happen later on
yeah,
in the journey too. So maybe it just wasn't right for them at that particular time. So,
yeah, yeah.
but Daisuke, yeah, that was an earlier one that I jumped into when I started seeing some of the Criterion releases, and he's definitely one that I saw a lot of content from him on um, Criterion. I have not hit his channel in a while, so I'll have to go back out and take a look at that. But yeah, throw that out there. It's
Oh
always,
yeah,
it's. But let's just say it's the worst can happen is it doesn't happen, but it
yeah,
definitely won't happen if you don't ask, kind
yeah.
of a thing. So, do you see with your movie room with some of the videos you shared building that, and maybe you're tweaking things going on in the future here? Do you see more videos coming out about that? Just sharing what you're doing with it, or
Probably.
organizing? Yeah.
Yeah. I have plans. Like it might be. I don't even know how long because it'd be a very expensive like thing to happen. Where I would basically turn my current garage into a theater type of
Oh,
setup.
nice,
Um, I have
nice.
like a basement garage, and so
Yeah,
it's like technically half the house in the basement is the garage, and so it's
yeah.
like, well, if I built a new garage, turned our current garage into like a theater, or turning our current garage into a like full movie room, so it's like a 2.5 car garage. I would love to make it into that is the movie room. Um, we'll see if it ever happens because I mean the cost of building material now is so crazy, but
Yep.
um, I don't know. It's just going to depend. But that one will be probably a multi, like episode video that I'll do if I ever do it. But
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be crazy. I would. Yeah, I'd be. I'd love something like that as well. I have a. I'll say I'll never complain. I have a nice basement area, living room that I can have
mhm,
a nice TV, and
mhm,
it's not a theater room, but definitely I will not complain. It's a great place to watch a movie, and
mhm,
we were talking about earlier having. I have a portable little projector, and I'll throw that up onto a garage door or a blank wall. We'll take a
mhm.
picture off the wall and put it up on a blank wall. It might not be the best picture or best sound, but it's still the fun feeling.
Oh yeah.
I kind of get thrown back to when I was a kid. We had so many times with the family where we'd go to drive-in theaters,
Mhm.
and it definitely wasn't the best picture, not the best sound, but you just had fun. It was a big old picture.
Oh
You
yeah.
saw a movie you loved and have some snacks and hang out, and it's always a good time. But I was going to run through some of these real quickly if you're okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
Uh, Prince was asking, when's your next movie in the house? I got to get on that. We were just talking about time and not getting videos out as much as we want. That is definitely one with the holiday season I put on hold a little bit, but I will definitely get back to that, Prince. I got some in mind. We'll get them going here. What was that? Highs back and forth. Corey, you have a favorite horror movie? Mine's Halloween 4. Man, I have so many that I have fun with. One, okay, this past year, a great time I had was going through this Friday the 13th box set from Scream Factory. A good friend of mine, Anthony Horror and More. We rewatched all of those and did a live stream ranking those. I can't say necessarily the top horror movie ever, and sometimes my mood could probably swing that, but I had such a good time going back through that set, and it was the first time actually watching through that set since I bought it. So it's kind of like you're saying, like you buy these things and maybe you saw the movies before, but since you actually bought that set,
Oh yeah.
you watched that physical movie that you bought. That was such a good time. It was a fun time hanging out with him. So I got a soft spot right now for Friday 13th. We'll go for that. The series. I know I'm cheating, but
Did you get the replacement discs for that set?
mine was much later, so I think
Okay.
I was good with it. It was one that I missed out on the initial release of it, and it's one that I went back and forth about getting. Missed out on it, and then this was much later, but then they had a sale going on for it, and ended up getting it. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I think mine are all good right now, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was surprised. I didn't know that that was a thing until I saw somebody post about it. I was like, because I had mine was a pre-order that I got, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I should probably like check that. And so I got sent new discs. But I always
Oh, good.
ask people when I see that set, I'm like, did you get the discs?
Yeah,
Because it's
I think mine was much later, so
Mhm.
I think I'm good with that one. But
Yeah.
it's a fun set, and
Oh
it
yeah.
was fun to go back through all of those. So
Yeah.
that was the first time I watched all of them in that condensed amount of time, too. So that was kind of cool. But
That was another one that I was trying to collect all of those growing up, and
yeah,
yeah, I have a huge soft spot for part 8. I know people hate part 8, but
yeah.
I love the idea of just Jason in Manhattan. It's just so fun. Like,
Okay, I have fun with that one. So I'll say right now, I have fun with all of them.
oh
I
yeah,
can find enjoyment with all of them, and I know, yeah, I know there's shade on. So like one of my favorite ones would be what, Seven, New Blood,
hmm
and people there's a lot of people that don't care for that one too much at all, but whatever reason, I find a lot of enjoyment with that one. So hey, you pick the one you like and go
yeah,
with it. So
oh yeah,
but Jason Takes Manhattan, that's a fun one. I don't
oh
care
yeah.
how much time he's in Manhattan. Van Ghoul's in here saying hi and watching at break at work. Thank you, Van Ghoul, for jumping in here. We got Laren in here saying, Wilk and Kyle, good evening. Thanks for jumping in. Got Tony, Basement Blues, in here. Better late than never. That's right. That's right. Better late than never. It's all right. We appreciate you jumping in and saying hi. X-Teen was saying sub to Kyle, too. There we go.
Thank you.
Oh, and then Van Gogh was saying that too. Yeah, there was the
Thank
two.
you.
So yeah, well, that's all I say. It doesn't cost anything. You might find your next favorite channel. Like, go out and check it out, and you never know. So highs back and forth. Van Gogh was saying, let's talk movies. What is your favorite 90s movie? Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's what I always feel like I'm like, when you get some of these questions. They're great questions. Not saying that, but when it's on the spot.
Yeah. I'm like trying to mentally think through like some of my favorite movies of like when did they come out? Like was that
Yeah,
90s?
I
Like
always got to look at the release dates.
yeah.
I'll say right off the bat, I think, yeah, so of the 90s. And people can say it's cliche or whatever, but Shawshank Redemption is one that I always have really, I really enjoy that movie. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. A couple of years ago my wife surprised me with going to the prison that it was filmed at.
Oh, I want to do that. I want to
Yeah,
do that.
because it's like it's relatively like close to where I live, so it's like a couple hours, but it was really cool. It was such a cool like experience just to see like the whole prison and it's like just remember it's like oh that this scene was filmed here and this and um, yeah actually I don't know if you're familiar with Chris Stuckman. He's
Yeah,
also on
yeah, yeah.
YouTube.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I know he lives up in like the Cleveland area, and he filmed. I guess his latest movie, or his movie that he just made, was filmed a lot at the prison. So,
Oh,
which is kind of fun. But
yeah. A friend of mine that I got to meet actually in real life was Tim from Tim Talks
oh,
Talkies.
yep.
He recently, him and his wife were doing a little vacation, a little road trip, and hitting some sites. And that was one that they had some pictures they were posting out in front of the prison and doing the tour of that. And I was like, oh, that'd be so cool. I got to do something like that sometime.
Oh yeah.
But they were hitting like that and like the Christmas Story house, and there was a bunch of they hit a bunch of them. They had
Yeah.
quite the road trip. But,
Ohio is a weird state for like stuff. Like there's a bunch of filming locations and a bunch of like just I mean they have like just other weird stuff of like between the Football Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's
oh
just,
yeah, they got everything.
it's very strange. I mean,
A mix, definitely a mix.
you know,
Acres of Movies in here saying hello and thanks. Well, hello and thanks for jumping in here. Just got a question. What are your favorite rags to riches comedies in your collection? And thanks.
rags to riches.
I always had fun with Brewster's Millions. I don't know why. I think I was just the age I watched it at. That's kind of a one that would fall into that, I think. But.
If you consider Wolf of Wall Street to be,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
I'd
kind
say
of,
that.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
rags to riches story.
Yeah.
That's one that I've seen so many times, but
Yeah. Or Trading Places. That would be a fun one, too.
yeah.
Yeah. Wolf of Wall Street. I'll have to watch that again sometime. It's been a long time since I've seen that.
I saw it like opening night on Christmas, like when it
Oh,
back in
yeah.
2013, which was fun. But yeah,
I did not. I was late to get to that one, but I'll have to get to that. Got Sam in here, Our Life in Horror, saying, hey, hey. Thanks for doing that. We got all the love going on tonight. Look at people just subbing to each other, just going crazy. Just subbing. Yeah, I just subbed to everybody. Give me their name, go see if they got something going on. Just sub to them. Let's see here. Movie Warehouse in here saying hi. Say, I have watched the Friday the 13th movies. One of these days, never seen them before. I was more into Halloween. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's always one of those. The series, I know a lot of people that are like one or the other, and that's cool. Yeah, it's just what clicks for you.
yeah. I always tell people it's like, you know, at a certain point in the Friday the 13th series, they knew exactly what they had and they just ran with it. Like, you know, it's like, oh, we'll
And
bring
leaned
Jason.
into it.
Right.
Yeah,
They're like,
leaned into it.
it's like, we'll bring Jason back this way. And it's like, continuity doesn't matter. It's fine. Like, you know, in the one movie, he's going to be a slug. It's okay. Like,
Oh, I know. Oh,
it's just,
okay.
it's so fun.
Yeah, that's one I could have a conversation about too. Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, they leaned into it. But yeah, they had a good series going. I mean, they pumped them out. Movie Warehouse was saying Demolition Man and The Rock and The Bad Boys got to be up there for me. Yeah, those are all.
Oh, yeah.
And do I have it right here? Oh, I might have moved it. I just got Demolition Man in. That was one of
Mm,
my Barnes and Noble Arrow
mm,
sale purchases that I just got in. So, but yeah,
nice. It's
definitely.
been years since I've seen it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it too. So I'm kind of enjoying or looking forward to getting into that for sure again. But here, closing out some screens. But do you have any? You know, we're talking about a lot of different genres, and we were talking about all the different formats you're collecting. But do you have any genres of movies that you're looking to dive into more this year, or just keeping up with what you're doing, which
I
is not
mean,
a bad thing?
my favorite genre of all time is horror.
Yeah.
And so I'm always looking to dive into like more and more and just like horror and just watch whatever, um, comes up. And I already have like a decent horror collection. It's not like crazy, crazy big. It's like partially on this wall here, which I have a bunch of horror VHS and pretty much from the Drive box set that you can kind of see down. There's
Oh yeah.
two shelves, three shelves down of horror movies, and so trying to watch more of those, but also just diving into more boutique stuff because I feel like with boutique like Blu-rays, it does lean towards horror mostly. Um, but I also have like my sci-fi films separated, and I feel like I don't gravitate towards those as much as I should. Um, but I don't know. I'm always into trying to find just more obscure horror movies. So
Yeah.
and trying to watch some of those ones that I'm like, I should have seen this by now. Like,
Oh gosh.
there's a few of those that I'm like, like I've never seen like The Dark Half and like stuff like that. I'm just like, it's been on my list, and that was just one that I saw. But um, yeah, there's been a few that I feel like I should have seen by now. Do you have
I think
any like favorite genres?
so. I'll say when I was growing up, and I'll still lean into it quite a bit, was sci-fi movies. So that was one as a kid I really dove into, and I was just talking the other night about this with a few people. But like RoboCop came up, and I remember seeing that one and really enjoying that, and saw it probably way younger than what people maybe today would think you should watch it. But I always thought that was funny too, with whatever that time, my parents, whatever, right or wrong, like violence type movies were not as shunned as ones that leaned into more like risque or
Mm-hmm.
like sexual type movies.
Yeah,
Like those were like no, stay away from that. But RoboCop shooting up people, that's okay, kind of a thing. So it was always
yeah,
kind of funny when you look at it, and me having kids growing up too. It's where you got to figure out what's right and what's wrong for you and
yeah.
go with it. But it's kind of funny. But anyway, there was a lot of RoboCop is a favorite of mine, but there was a lot of Stallone. There was a lot of Schwarzenegger. Those movies. Growing
Mm-hmm.
up, I still have a soft spot for those. Um, I got way more into horror movies as I've gotten older as well. But yeah, I'd say sci-fi and action horror. I know I'm naming probably most of the movie genres at this point, but um, I could pick any of those and have a good time. But
Mm-hmm.
you throw in a really good comedy sometime, and they might hit the right spot for that night too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have a couple that I did not watch again for this year that I still might do it even though we're getting out of the season. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and Scrooged were two
Mm.
that I wanted to watch before the end of the year. I did not rewatch those yet. I still might throw those in. Those are ones I can still have fun with and have a
Oh
good
yeah,
laugh with. But,
yeah, oh
but
yeah.
comedies are kind of a different one, and they've been different over the years too. But it's kind of funny, and then that's where some of my family is grown up and out of the house now. Some are still in the home, and finding movies that the people that are here want to watch with me. So like last night, I had a really good time. I actually got everybody that was here watching with me was Clueless.
Mm.
That was like one that I hadn't seen forever,
Mhm.
and had a good time. But yeah, there's a lot of the action. If I throw in Horizon, or Dune 2, or so most of the people in the house are checking out at that point, and it's going to
Yeah.
be a solo watch for me. So, and then tomorrow, I'm actually pretty excited. I have the day off, or at least part of the day off, and I'm going to go try to see Wolfman.
Hmm.
That was one I want to get out to see, but I don't know if you've heard anything about that or if
I
you
haven't
just
heard any like I haven't heard anything, but I've seen the trailer for it.
yeah.
So it looks interesting.
Yeah, it'll be my first. I have not gotten out to the theater yet this year, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to try that. So we were talking about goals. I wouldn't mind doing that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little choosier. I'm kind of out in the country, so it's a little bit of a drive to get in and do that. And
Mm-hmm.
tickets aren't the cheapest things in the world. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah. I just saw Nosferatu in
oh, I wanted
theaters.
to see that.
It was. I would highly recommend seeing that in theaters.
Okay.
The sound design was very like. I think it's one of those movies that really benefit from a theater experience. But
I'll have to try to get. Yeah, that's a hard thing getting out to those. But that is definitely one that was on my list where I could see going out to see that one. But
oh yeah,
so you enjoyed it.
oh yeah,
You had a good
yeah.
time
I
with it.
really liked it.
Oh man, that's what's good when they start. It's a good and bad thing. You know, it's hard for me to get out to the theater, but when they start releasing more movies that are worth or
Yeah.
like got that pull for you to go out to see, it's kind of cool to have that going on. So.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have to see that. Saying hi to each other. I was just going to run through some of these really quickly. How you doing? I know we're hitting time. I don't want to keep you too long.
Oh no, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, you'll never hurt my feelings. I just did not want to go too long. Like I said, I have trouble shutting up sometimes. So, Sin was saying Demolition Man is so relevant these days. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, I want to watch that. I haven't watched it for a while, so I'm gonna have to rewatch that one. Saying I thought Huck would peck the subscribe button instead. That chicken boy. All right. Yeah, I know that was one role he was actually in a movie. So Huck's Pop Culture Cafe. We'll try to hit some of these questions here quick. There might be some we can't get to all of them, but Akers was saying, what 90s song would be a better movie? Lightning Crashes or Heart Shaped Box? Thanks. You always have some tough questions. I'm going to go with my knee jerk. I'm going to go with Lightning Crashes. It just sounds like could be a horror movie. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that too. I'm not sure.
You always got some hard questions for us, but I appreciate your enthusiasm. You're always great throwing things out there, but I don't always probably have a great answer. But Movie Warehouse was saying who replaced what? Oh yeah, with Demolition Man with the 3 seashells. Yep. You don't know how to use the 3 seashells? I'm going to run through some of these really quickly. I know I'm way behind probably. Sin was saying, I got back from Wolfman. Oh, that's the one I was just talking about going to see. I'm currently editing my review. Ooh. Okay, Sin. No shade on you, but I don't know how soon you're going to put that out there, but I might hold off to watch that if you put it out really soon. I might go try to watch it tomorrow and then come back and watch your review and see where I land with you on that one. Sin was saying it was in my list of most anticipated for 2025. I was satisfied with it. Okay, that's good to know. There you go. Oh, and then agreement there with the big screen with Nosferatu.
Yeah. I made it out to see The Substance last year on like in a independent theater, and I was very happy I saw that with like a group of. I don't know if you saw The Substance or.
I have not yet.
Okay, that was a fun one to see.
I've been kind of bad with the theater
Yeah.
outings last year, but from what everybody says, I need to check it out here sometime.
Yeah.
You had a good time in the theater watching it?
It was fun because it was like a independent theater.
Yeah.
Whenever I try to go to small independent theaters too. There's a couple near me, but and it was just like a really fun experience to see that on like it wasn't like the biggest screen, but it was just fun seeing with like a group of people.
Oh yeah.
And like I think same theater I saw the remake of Suspiria like several years ago, but
Yeah.
which was another fun one to see. But this last year I did a double feature of Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3 in like the same on the same day, and That was fun.
That's a
But
lot of Terrifier there for you. But
yeah.
I actually have not watched any of those yet. I have actually, through trading or some exchanges with people, I have the second one in my collection, but I have not watched any of them yet. But
It's not for everyone, I'll say.
yeah, that's what I
But
kind of heard.
yeah. I personally like them, but it's not for
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah. Sam was saying, "Oh, you got another sub there,
Thank you.
Kyle."
I
So
appreciate it.
yeah, we appreciate every single one of those. But yeah, that's gonna. I'll have to look out and see what all is coming out this year in the theaters. But I haven't looked out too far. Like I said, we were talking about goals and digging into unwatched stuff on ourselves, and so I'm kind of been a little more concerned with that. But just with me being have some time off tomorrow, I might be trying to go see Wolfman tomorrow. We'll have to see that. But Nosferatu now, I might have to check and see how long that's going to be in our theaters and see if that's maybe one I can get out to go see. But it is always different on the big screen.
Hmm.
Whether you said when you even at an independent where you're saying like, oh, it might not be as big of a screen, it's still
Yeah.
bigger than at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until you build your garage.
Yeah.
Home theater. Yeah. Would you do a projector? Like in your dream, would you do a projector in there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Technically, I do have a projector in here
Yeah.
that's like mounted to the ceiling with like a pull down screen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it's more of a gimmick at this point because it's like I never use it. It's more of just like, oh yeah, I have this thing hooked up too. But it's such a pain because I'm like, I never even use like my surround sound system. And technically, I loved like the wiring of the whole movie room. So
Yeah.
I have like the Laserdisc player, the CED player, the Blu-ray 4K, DVD, VHS. Like I have a PlayStation 2, 3, 4, Wii, and original Xbox and Xbox 360, all
That's a
hooked
lot of,
up.
that's a lot of cables.
It's all hooked up to the TV, and with the flips of a few switches, it can be all hooked up to the projector.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's all in like different splitter. It's a nightmare of wiring, but
Oh, I was going to say once you get it figured out though, but yeah, it's getting it all
yeah,
sorted.
yeah.
But,
But it's one of those just like fun things to see. I'm like, well, I just want to see if I can do it. Like, not that I really need to. I just want to see if it's possible. So,
yeah.
um, but yeah,
So-
I'd eventually like to get a projector.
Yeah, no,
the
I'd
garage.
love to do that too. I think that's to have a fixed projector in a theater room. Yeah, I think that would be a good time. There's some, it's out of my price range right now, but there have been some that I looked at that were short throw laser projectors where you could have them up close, but it puts up like up to like 120-inch screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd go for something like that for sure. So I don't want to keep you like too late tonight. I could keep on talking. Like I said, I have a hard time shutting up. But do you have anything coming up on the channel before, even if we keep on talking, just so I don't forget to ask you, like, do you have anything coming up you want to throw out that people to watch for?
I have a couple ideas rolling around in my head. I know you mentioned pretty much the same concept, but kind of doing like a James Bond like video or a series of videos. Like, I want to do something similar because a lot of the James Bond movies, like I've like watched them maybe like 18 years ago now. It's been since I've seen some of them, or 10, 15 years. So I'm like, I would like to actually rewatch them and kind of like maybe not necessarily doing like a ranking on all of them, but just like
Right.
revisiting all of them and kind of talking about, what's like what I like about each one and stuff like that. I would really like to do a video kind of discussing, because I should have brought my sheet. I have a paper with like all my different ideas down, but there's one of kind of discussing like why I prefer like Criterion over Vinegar Syndrome, and I kind of hinted at that a little bit in the video, but or in this, and so kind of like working or talking through that, and I'm trying to think of any other ideas or things that are coming up. Yeah, I don't know. I I always feel like I always like write out all my ideas and then I just forget about them until it like, and I'm sitting there trying to pick an idea like what to make. But
you'll worry about it when you need to worry about it, kind of a
Yeah.
thing, you know. But that's the thing. It's like you're constantly kind of thinking about where you want to go next
Hmm.
with everything. But so you're seeing a similar pace for this year, like your videos, your live streams, you know, keeping up with what kind of what you've been doing at least with
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I always like making, I would like to make more videos, but like it just takes like
Oh
time
yeah.
to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, thankfully I'm self-employed, so like I can kind of like balance my schedule a little like easier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, during my busy season, it's like I am lucky if I get one video out a week. Um, so I don't know. Um, it'd be nice to keep up the same pace at that for now.
Well, I'm always surprised how small I am and how little I do compared to everybody, and I still feel like I run out of time to do things. But you know, you got life and work and family and you know
Yeah.
all that fun stuff. But I guess the big thing is you're still enjoying collecting and sharing that with people on the or not necessarily just live streams, but on the channel.
Hmm.
You know,
Oh yeah.
um, when you are thinking about maybe bringing more people on the channel and you threw out Daisuke as like kind of like a big one out there, um, that's kind of cool to think about when you're sitting down, like even thinking about reaching out to some of these people. Um, I'd be interested to see some other people that you'd bring on your channel too. With the range of movies you have and the size of the collection you have, you know, I could see so many different people that you could click with. But Daisuke, like I could see that for sure with the Criterion. But
Oh yeah.
do you have any others that you were like, if you could sit down and just one-on-one talk with for a little bit? Any others that kind of come to mind? And if you don't worry about it. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
Hmm.
you can think about it. We can
I
come
was gonna
back to it
say
too.
maybe, yeah, because
Yeah,
none off the top of my head,
yeah,
but
yeah. No,
uh,
that's all right.
yeah.
Like I said, you can ask me my name at some point in a live stream and I could forget it. You know, like as I'm just talking along with everything. Um, but yeah, no, it's cool. So going back to your collection, do you have? I know, like when you're buying so many different things, like in different formats, do you have anything in mind on how you go about your collecting, or you're searching for things, or how do you look out for things? Are you looking at new purchases, used purchases, eBay, Facebook, Amazon? You know, like what is your game plan when you're? Do you have stuff like kind of set out that you're just kind of watching for?
Hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, I am like, like I am on Facebook Marketplace a embarrassingly amount of time.
Yeah.
I'm just constantly scrolling and looking, um, and same thing with eBay. I am like, I also like sell some stuff on eBay, so it's just like a mix of selling some stuff, and then like well, it's like, well, I'm on the app, I guess I'll look for this and that, and um, I would say I primarily buy used.
Mm.
It's very rare where it's like I'll go to like a Walmart or something and buy like a new release, or buy something brand new, unless if it's like a really really great deal, which
Right.
there's been times that happened. And I mean, it's like a Barnes and Noble Criterion sale, for instance. That's pretty much what I would be buying mostly new,
Yeah.
or like a Severin sale or something like that. Um, and I'm like, I don't know, it's like I kind of just have like a mental list of like what I am really looking for. um, Shockingly, I don't keep track of what I already have. It's all just like in my head.
Okay.
So I don't have any apps or anything like that, because I know some people have like
Wow.
collecting apps, but it's all
Yep.
just in my head of exactly what I have and what I'm missing. And um, it's like it's happened maybe 2 or 3 times where I'll buy something that I already had, but for the amount of times I do it, I'm just like, yeah, I don't need to really like keep track in like any other way. Um, and so the it's like a weird ability, I guess I have, but
I was going to say that's quite the ability because I have an app where I track mine, and I've even ran into where I purchase a used item. I was like, "Oh, that's a great deal," and it was a
Mhm,
great deal. But then I'm like, "Oh, I already have that movie." So, wow. Okay, so you just can keep it straight.
mhm.
You have a good idea what you have and what format you have it in, and
Yeah. I mean, there's
wow.
been a couple times where it's like I'll be sitting there looking at it and I'm like, do I have this movie? I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't remember. It's like, I think I owned this at one point, but I think I might have gotten rid of it. Or I'm like, I think I have this on DVD, but this is a Blu-ray. I'm like, or is it vice versa? Or,
Yeah.
for like CED, the discs, like for certain movies are like in two discs. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
um, actually just yesterday I was at my favorite movie store and he had 2001 A Space Odyssey,
Mm.
but it was like disc one. And I'm like, I know I have one of the discs. I'm like, I don't
You
remember
don't
if
know
it's
which
disc
one it
one
was.
or disc two. So it's like, I'll just not get anything now and
Yeah.
maybe later. But um, yeah, it's like fun kind of to like, I don't know, try to keep track of everything.
Yeah. Wow.
So
I was going to say, I have a heart, like I said, I mess up with an app helping me out too. So that's impressive to keep track of all of those for sure. I was going to jump in here. Movie Warehouse was saying, I love the James Bond movies. Daniel Craig is my favorite Bond. Was sad to see him leave the Bond universe. So, that being said, do you have. Sometimes people have a Bond that was like maybe their first introduction
mhm.
to 007. Do you have one that kind of was like, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be your favorite of all time. Not saying it's better than any others, but just one that when you think of 007, you think of a first experience with it, and this is the Bond that you go to.
I mean, the first James Bond movie I ever saw was The Spy Who Loved Me, and
Okay.
so there's
Okay.
that movie that like will always like hold a special spot just because it's like it was the first introduction.
Yeah.
Um, I do also have a soft spot for like Pierce Brosnan films.
Oh yeah.
I even though like as an adult now I can see how cheesy it is. As a kid, I loved Die Another Day. I absolutely. I mean, there's scenes in it now that I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because it's a giant laser or whatever. But but yeah, as a
Whatever.
kid, I was like, I loved it. I thought it was so fun.
Yeah.
And I, I'd say favorite Bond though is probably Connery. I really like Sean
Yeah.
Connery.
He's
Just
great.
classic.
Yeah.
Um, but do you have a favorite Bond or a favorite Bond movie?
So my first one I go to, and I will. I'm not like saying favorite, or I'm not saying best Bond ever or best movie ever, but um, my first one I was introduced to a few movies of was Roger Moore,
Hmm.
and Moonraker was probably the first one I really remember. And so talk about cheesy and whatever else you want to say, but I can still watch that and have a lot of fun with it and a lot of nostalgia because that
Hmm.
was I remember that was a rental on a VHS tape, and
Oh yeah.
that was one that I remember watching and think it was pretty cool at the time, and I still can go back and have fun with it. I enjoy. I can have fun with the whole any of them. I
Oh yeah.
mean, but Roger Moore was the one I was first introduced to. But yeah, it's hard to like fight against Sean Connery. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the original, So
Yeah. I my the library that I used to go to as a kid, they like were selling off. This is years ago now, but they were selling off all their VHS tapes,
yeah,
and they're like I think 5 cents a piece or something crazy. Um, but so I like bought up all of the James Bond movies that they had because I'm like these were the original tapes that I was like renting as a kid to like watch with my dad, and like I was like this was like the original ones, and so I have those all like in
nice.
my collection and it's just like one of those like fun things that like it's not worth anything but it's like to me it's worth something so
Well, that's the thing. Nostalgia and like emotional attachment can be worth way more than $1
oh yeah
signed
yeah
on those things. So, oh, that's cool. So you can be like, it's like walking in the old video store and like seeing them all lined up there. And
oh yeah
but yeah, no, for sure. But that's what I need to dive into those. Gizmo was giving me a hard time about doing that sometime. I I've seen them all, but some have been a long time ago. But
hmm
if I ever wanted to go back and try to rank them again, I need to go back and rewatch them all. And there's what is it like 26 or 27 or I mean there's quite a few
yeah
of
so
them. Yeah, I mean
something
there's
like
quite a
that
few of them.
oh yeah
So I'm probably off on the number, but either way, it's a good number of movies. I'd need some time to be able to do that. So we got Henry in here saying, "Yo, what's up, Corey? Thanks, Henry, for jumping in here and saying hello to Kyle there.
blue
Thank you." Um, Akers was saying that might be a good idea for a Friday the 13th movies. Jason could be one of the only black campers, and they might like him at first, and maybe he shows the great strength for a. I don't know. You got some, like I said, Acres. I enjoy your enthusiasm. I always can count on you to throw out a lot of chats. I don't. I can't get to all of them, but I appreciate you doing that. But saying hi back and forth to each other. Oh, we got some love for Roger Moore. There you go. He
I
was my
feel like
first one, like I said.
he might be. I don't know. I go back and before between him and Connery, but like as my favorite, because I feel like Roger Moore is also just one of those classics. Like,
Yeah. And there's such a change too between some of the Bonds,
mhm,
of their personalities and using cunning or brute force. And that was a
mhm,
big thing with Daniel Craig, where some people liked or didn't like when his came in. I enjoyed his movies though too, but I enjoy each one of them. But I think each one of them brings something different to the series.
mhm.
So um, for sure. But well, I know we're hitting almost 2 hours. Are you want to start wrapping up? Are you doing good? Or
I'm really good either way.
okay, okay. Like I
um,
said, I never want to like rush anything, but at the
mhm.
same time, I don't want you to ever feel pressure to stay longer than you want to do. But if we're still going to talk, when we're talking about all the different movies, the different formats, do you have a system to organize in your basement? How things are laid out between formats or titles or whatever? I'm kind of
Oh,
curious
yeah.
on that.
So I mentioned earlier, like I have a horror section,
Mm-hmm.
and all my basically the basic layout for everything is um, 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, and so I do all the 4Ks together, all the Blu-rays together, and then all the DVDs together, and then that's in alphabetical order. Um, and the like beyond just horror, I also have all of my sci-fi films laid out in the same way, and then all of my like kids movies, so like Disney and stuff, those are also laid out in the same way. And then I have a section of all my favorite directors, so I have those kind of like broken into like mini sections of all their films. And then I have a mixture of comedies, action, and like romance and drama all on one wall, which is actually behind the camera right now, and that is all just 4K Blu-ray DVD. And then the things that aren't necessarily in alphabetical order is like boutique stuff, and so Criterion's just spine number order. Behind me, you see like a mixture of Scream Factory, like Scream Factory, Arrow, Vinegar Syndrome, Severin. Those are just kind of like in their own little like. Some of them have spine numbers, like Vinegar Syndrome technically has spine numbers. I have those in that order. Um, and or alphabetical. It just kind of depends on which company. But like my CEDs, those are pretty heavy, so they sit on like the bottom shelf. I have like a one of those like full wall bookcases,
Oh yeah.
and that was actually at the house when we bought it, and so I was able to like use that down here. Um, and so I have that, and all the CEDs sit on the bottom shelf of that, and then I have a all of my laser discs kind of like in a bookcase and also on that other shelf. Um, and then VHS is like loose alphabetical. Besides horror VHS and sci-fi VHS, everything else is just kind of like together, and so it's like all the A's are together, all the B's are together, and so on. Um, and then I have like one bookcase of just like weird formats of just like the weird like offshoots of. I have like three films on mini DVD and stuff like that, just kind of all together. Um, and then I'm trying to think of any other like layout things that I have. I just have box sets sporadically, throughout the whole movie room as well. But it's kind of roughly a layout, kind of what I have. So,
Hmm. But you can figure out where you got everything. You
mhm.
can.
And if
the
somebody asks me, like, do you have I don't know, Footloose? I'll be able to like find exactly where it is, and like I know exactly where it is. So it's that works out. But
nice. So with the love of physical media, and I know people are either love or hate, and sometimes a mix of the things. Do you stream at all? Do you find that mixing into your viewing at all, or do you stick with what you have on the shelf?
I don't really stream a whole lot.
Yeah.
My in-laws, they have Netflix that sometimes we use, or they have
Okay.
Hulu or one of the streaming services. And so every now and then, maybe I'll stream something that might only be available on like streaming. But I'd say 99% of the time I'm watching a disc. I do have like a Vudu account, so I have like a
Yeah.
bunch of like digital movies. I almost never. I think I have like 500 movies in there. I never get on it. It's mainly from like movies that I would buy, and then I just put the digital code in. And so like my sister-in-law and my brother sometimes watch from that, and they can just use my Vudu. It's like I don't really care, but um, and I'm trying to think what else. Like I've also like in the last year or so, my wife's gotten into going to the library.
Oh
She's
yeah.
really into reading, and so um, we've kind of been utilizing the library a lot actually,
Yeah. Yep.
because I'm like it's a great resource that I feel like people don't really use. I
Yeah.
mean, it's free technically. I mean, technically you're paying for it with taxes, but it's like
Taxes.
yeah. um, I mean, it's so much available at the library that films that I'm like, oh, I've been wanting to see that, but I don't know if I should be buying it yet, or I haven't
Yeah.
come across it at a good price. And still, there's a few things like that every now and then I'll grab a movie from there. Um, but yeah, most of the time I'm watching stuff I already own.
That's one thing. You bring that up. I know not every library is part of the network of it, and every library can have a different deal on like
Mm-hmm.
what you can get. But there's a streaming service through our library I can do. It's called Canopy with a K.
Mm-hmm. I
Uh,
think I've heard of it.
it's like Netflix or whatever. I mean, and it's got a great collection. But I think every library has a different deal on how many rentals you can get through it, and what how big of the library it is. But that's one thing I've really enjoyed through my public library. I can get into that, and you basically get free rentals.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going to the library and getting a physical copy, except you're streaming it. But that's been a cool thing that I always kind of throw out there. It's worth checking out to see if it's available in your area, because
Mm-hmm.
if you have a free library card and they have it, it doesn't cost you anything extra,
Right.
and there's some deep cut movie. I mean, like from new releases to international films to old Hollywood classics. They got a good mix of things there. But I know I'm kind of going all over the place with this, but one thing I always like digging into with me being newer to YouTube and everything like that. With what you're doing, I know you come up with ideas. You said you had your sheet. You kind of put out ideas of things you're going to do, whether it's pre-recorded or live streams. Do you? I mean, is that how you lay out what you're going to do for the next month, or like how do you come up with? So, not even talking about the rest of January, but next month, February. Do you have an idea of what you want to try to tackle for your channel?
For the most part, no.
Okay.
Specific months like October, I'll start thinking ahead because I'm like, okay, well, I want to make specific like horror content for October.
Mm-hmm.
Or same thing with like Christmas. I think last year, it was a year before, I did like a Christmas special. Um, and so I start thinking is like, okay, what do I want to do for like specific like seasons?
Mm-hmm.
But for like February, I really have no idea of like, I'll probably just pull from my list of things,
Yeah.
or if something comes up. I mean, sometimes like I'll randomly come across a really good deal on Facebook and I'll, share that or stuff like that. So, there's like a few things like that will just like randomly pop up, that I will, there's like, I will say that I have I've been working on a specific idea, for a video that I don't know if it's like how I'm like exactly what it looks like. But I won't share it too much
Oh
because it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
like,
No, like
um,
I was like, let it be a surprise. But
um,
I'm always curious about that creative process.
mhm.
Like how you decide what you're going to tackle
Yeah. I mean,
each month.
it helps like writing out everything that I could possibly think of for video ideas, and
Mm-hmm.
then just like you know, if I come up through like a week of like, okay, I have nothing going on, there's no like no new purchases or nothing to like really discuss,
Mhm.
I'll just pull from that list. And I mean, in I think it was December, I like just sat down and like wrote out everything I could possibly think of. And so, um, yeah, it's kind of like doing stuff like that. But
Yeah. That's one thing I know when I jumped into this, I knew I could never compete in the market of the pickup videos. Like
hmm,
I pick things up and I could do videos of that, but I know I would never bring in enough that that would be my content. And
yeah,
not throwing any shade to that at all. I just what I decide is my budget, you know, would not sustain videos for that. So do
hmm,
you ever run into that, like that balance of because I know those are popular. I watch them too. It's like
oh
window
yeah,
shopping. You get to
oh
see
yeah.
people bring in some cool releases and see what they all look like. So do you run into that as well of the purchasing for content versus what you just want to actually have and watch?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely times where like, I mean, I'd say most of the stuff that I would purchase for it's usually never to be like, oh, I'm going to purchase this with the specific idea to
Mm-hmm.
like make a video out of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
mainly just stuff that I'm like, I really want this. It's a really good deal. I'm going to get it, and then I'll just also make a video out of it,
Right.
which is always helpful because like there's times where um, like I bought, there's two really big Laserdisc deals I did last year, and the one actually with the ad revenue from that video, it paid for the Laserdiscs. So I'm like, sweet, like,
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
I got that for free, like,
Yeah.
so I'm like, it's worked out like maybe once or twice or so when it's like, you know, the benefits of filming it and making a video out of it actually pay for the item. Um,
Nice.
but I would love, I mean, the dream would be, you know, having Severin or Vinegar Syndrome or somebody like send me stuff to talk about. And I don't know if I'll ever get that big, but it'd be awesome if that was the case. Um,
Oh, I don't. I like where you're at right now. I don't think that's like ever out of the question. I mean, you have a great following. I mean, subscriber count, people like following you and watching, and you have. I don't know. It just seems like what I've dug into with your videos, you have a great knowledge of movies, the history, the different formats. I think you'd be a great one to. Uh, that would lend you to have somebody do something like that too. So I mean, I know Criterion would be like way up on your list, but do you have any like holy grail ones that would be like, hey, if you could like once a month send me a title to take a look at that you would. I'm going to assume Criterion,
oh yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll put that one on there for sure.
I
My
mean,
number two.
my second favorite label of all time is Severin. Like
Okay.
I love everything that they've put out. Like
Yeah.
everything that I've seen that they've put out, I'm like, it's so fun. It is just such weird, obscure stuff I've never heard of, but um, I really like Severin. I'm getting more into Arrow. I wasn't like a huge
Yeah.
Arrow fan for the
Yeah.
longest time. Um, and I still don't have a ton of Arrow video box sets. I
Yeah.
have like this shelf, I guess, right? This one is all my
Oh
Arrow
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I have like the Herschel Gordon Lewis like Feast box, like the cereal box, and
Yep.
I have the Gamera big box too, and those are up on the top shelves. And um, so I have like a couple of their really nice sets. I just I'm still kind of like diving through those, and I don't know if Severin reached out and was like, hey, like we're going to send you this month's latest releases. That'd be awesome,
You're like, okay.
right? So
I think that's always the dream scenario where you got
mhm.
like something you love anyway,
Yeah,
and they send it to you to give your opinion about it, and you get to have it. No, that definitely would be very very cool
oh yeah,
for sure. I was just gonna say hi real quick. We got Isabel in here jumping in saying hello everyone. Hope all is well. Thank you. Oh, and then she was loving. I did a post that I just watched Clueless with my wife and daughter last night, so that's her favorite. She was saying so. It had been a long time since I've seen that one, so we had a fun time going back to it. But Larry was saying he seems to gravitate towards Shout Scream Factory himself.
that's another one. I feel like every maybe 2 or 3 months, I'll like get on the Scream Factory website and it's like, oh, that was released. Like it just
Yeah.
things that I completely missed. And same thing with Kino. I feel like that's another label that I
Yeah.
just like, I'll just come across and be like, oh, they have a whole like cult movie line now that I'm like, oh, I completely missed these. Like,
Yeah.
um, so it's so there's so much coming out. It's hard to
That
keep
is
up.
great. Yeah, I agree. Kino is one that I think they have a wide range of
Hmm.
movies coming out, and yeah, it's hard to keep up with all of them. But it's the good and the bad thing. Like, there's so many new things coming out in each
Hmm.
year so far. The last few years, it seems like more and more movies are getting some love
Yeah.
and getting some releases, and they might be ones that you were not familiar with, but you get to be exposed to them. And
Hmm.
it's kind of like when you're talking about some of the labels that put out some things that are lesser known, or like you just get some love to it, and you might get exposed to something you end up really loving and
Hmm.
getting into. But but uh, but yeah. Well, I tell you what. I know we're past the 2 hour mark. I probably kept you way longer than you wanted to
No,
go.
you're fine.
I appreciate every single minute you gave to me. Um,
You're good.
let's wrap it up for tonight so you can get some sleep as well, and maybe say hi to the family and everything. But hang on after we go off live, because I want to talk to you for just a second. But I want to say, everybody in the chat, it's been a great chat tonight. I appreciate everybody jumping out here, whether you're here the whole time, part of the time, or even if you catch a replay of this. Appreciate any of the time that you spend with us. That's why that's why we do the live streams. It's fun to hang out and talk with you all. But Kyle, I'll say I appreciate the time you're spending with me. You got such a great collection. Love your
Thank you.
channel. Like I said, everybody, I have his links in the description of this video for YouTube, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Please check him out. That's one of those things I always say. No matter how big or small you are, it's just getting in front of the next person, and just go check it out. It doesn't cost you anything, and you might find the next favorite channel for you, and you'll be following him and figuring out what next Criterion or Severin title he's picking up. So I appreciate that all, but I appreciate you wrapping up, some of the things you have coming up. And I guess before we dive out of here tonight, do you have anything else you want to throw out there?
Just thank you for having me. It was fun.
I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I could, like I said, I have a hard time shutting up sometimes, and I don't want to keep people too long and like wear them out. But at the same time, I can say, like, it'd be fun to do this again,
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah, for sure.
pick up a different topic, or whatever, and go
Hmm.
through that. So, but like I said, if you don't mind hanging on a little bit,
Yeah.
everybody
Oh
in the
yeah.
chat, thank you so much, and love you all. We'll talk to you here real soon, and thanks again for spending the night with us. We'll check y'all